there gamers, welcome back to the Board Game Co channel, and today we have a preview of Vampire the Masquerade Palermo Conspiracies. Hey there gamers, it's Professor Meg here, and welcome back to the Board Game Co channel. Today we have a preview of Vampire the Masquerade Palermo Conspiracies by Teburu. Now, this is a current GameFound campaign, so you can check out the link down below for everything that they have planned, especially all of the add-ons and things like that. This is a sponsored video, and this is also a demo copy in front of me, so all rules, components, things like that are subject to change. Now, I am going to talk about the Teburu system in just a moment, but Vampire the Masquerade Palermo Conspiracies is going to be a game for 1 to 4 players where you're working semi-cooperatively. Now, you're working as these different archons that are trying to find the hidden Prince of Palermo. He's not hidden, he was stolen, he went missing. So you're trying to find him, and to do so, you're going to be maneuvering around the map, upgrading your different areas, and you're also trying to gain influence for certain factions depending on what factions you want to choose to support. But most importantly, you're going to be making these story-based decisions and having encounters. So as you move around the board, certain things will happen to you, and players are always presented with a few options of what they'd like to do, and you have different skills that as you gain XP, you're going to pay into those. So the choices you make may depend on what you're stronger at and what you're able to do, but you're going to have that as well as some votes that can be secret, where players are going to have a lot of effects over the game, and this is going to be around 15 hours of gameplay as you play through the entire chronicle. Now, as I said, it is semi-cooperative. This is actually a difference from Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising, if you have played that or if you know of it. That is a fully cooperative game, whereas in this game, it is a bit cooperative, but overall, only one of these 4 players is going to be able to be the one that wins at the end of the game by the Justicar. Now, before we dive into the game, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Teburu system. Now, this is a game system that you're able to play digitally with many different games. So this is just one game with, as you can see, these map tiles are laid on top of it, and it plugs in. You use these dice, which you're able to connect to something like a tablet, or you're also able to use your phones as multiple controllers depending on how many people that you're playing with, but you're going to use this along with potentially phones if you choose to use them, and the dice, and you are able to have them roll, and the game will actually register what you're doing, and it registers other things as well, such as where you are choosing to move your different characters. Now, here on the main board, you can immediately notice a difference from Milan Uprising, where you can see that there are these havens on each corner of the board, and those havens represent areas that belong to each character. And as the characters choose to pay to upgrade these different areas, you're able to increase the actions that you get from them during the day phase. So as you are vampires, during the night phase is when you're active and using your action points along the board, and then during the day phase is when you're resting and you'll get the actions for your different havens. So you are incentivized to not only gain money, but save it for when you want to upgrade these. Now, another thing that players are going to gain throughout the game is experience points, and that's how you're going to upgrade your different abilities, such as stealth and combat. So those are things that you're definitely going to want to keep an eye on as you are maneuvering around. Now, you can see the 4 player characters are here, and other things may show up on the board, such as tokens that represent different NPCs, and there are also additional miniatures that may come into play that are going to be allies or ghouls. So there's a whole lot in this game that you're going to have spread out on the board for things for players to encounter. Now, throughout the game, there will be encounters as well as potential combat, and you'll be rolling dice for that. But something else that is extremely important is going to be these cubes that are placed out, and that's all going to be different influence for the factions. So you have the orange and the pink cubes, and those are different factions that you are going to start choosing which one to pay into and supporting. But there's also the Vampire Hunters faction, where they're going to start trying to take over the board as well, and you really want to stop them because they're going to be the force that is hunting you down. So you can see here where you can see what areas have control, and with the different tokens you can see how many cubes they have for that control to see how easy it is to take over. So from the board here, it's very easy to see who has control, whether it's the Vampire Hunters or the factions that you are choosing to support as a player, but you also have these cubes here representing which of those 2 factions, because there are competing factions, and you're going to want to choose which ones you are trying to support in different areas and accumulating their cubes on the board, so you can see where players have started trying to support those different areas. Now, one thing about the maps in the game is that with the Teburu system, they're very interactive because it is tracking everything that you're doing and where you're placing things, and it tells you where to populate stuff as well. But the board itself is also very interactive in the sense that it's dual layered. So certain locations are going to have abilities on them, and some will tell you to flip these tokens and trigger them later. So you are going to have that ability to use that as well as the havens. So you do have your different havens, and you're going to have these tiles where you're able to upgrade them, and when you do, you'll place them into that area. So I just wanted to note that you can see how the map does have these areas that you're able to place things into, and that's what these tokens are as well. That, for example, if this ability was not currently active in this area, it would be flipped over, but to show that it is active, you're able to flip it for all the players. So now that you know more about the board and the general setup and the Teburu system and everything that you'll be interacting with, let's take a little bit closer look at the app and the true heart of the game. Now, something that's great to know is that this does run you through an entire tutorial, so you don't really need to learn the game. You need to set up the map as needed. There are a couple things that you go through, such as registering your dice if it's a new Teburu system for you, but other than that, you're going to just be able to start the game and have it teach you everything, and on top of that, you're going to get a lot of story as well. So you're going to get a lot of background as to why you are where you are, setting you up for the game, and as you progress through the game, you'll have these different encounters that pull you through the story, perhaps intriguing you, having certain secrets or questions that come up. So that's how you're going to be playing through the game, but you're going to be doing it all on the app. So here's an example of what it would look like, and this is the general screen for a player's turn. You can see that it's Fabian's turn now, but you are also able to see the map if you ever want to verify where certain things should be and stuff like that. But taking a look at Fabian's turn, you can see we have 3 action points every turn, and we're able to do these different things. So these all would cost 1 action point, but we aren't able to do this one currently because we don't have any money. We are able to investigate, and we're able to do premonition, but another thing that you're able to do for 1 action point is to move. So I think first we'll have Fabian move and then decide what we want to do. So taking a look here, I think we will have Fabian go down to this area over here. So you can see an enemy encounter triggered, and now there's a ton of influence here for the vampire hunters, so we may be in trouble. Figures in black masks and civilian clothes surround you. Some carry bats, some carry knives. One carries a lit Molotov. Our intention is not to kill you, one says. It's to teach you the meaning of fear. What will you do? And now you can see we are presented with our different options, and we have a lot of agency in choosing how we want to approach this. Now, depending on the different options that you choose, you may choose it based on the skills that you have paid into, so that may affect what you're doing, but we can fight until one side gives up, difficulty medium, risk medium. Tell them you'll forget this ever happened if they walk away now. Difficulty hard, but risk low. Show off, snatch away their weapons, and see how brave they are then. And that one, the difficulty is medium, but the risk is high. I think we should try to show off and just see if we're able to do that. So we're only rolling 1 die, which is a little bit crazy, but we do have 3 willpower, which would allow us to re-roll. So we can only re-roll once, but we do have plenty available. Now that was a success, but we did still fail. We needed a bit more. Rerolling isn't even going to help us. We needed a better stats in this larceny to be able to steal from that. So we did fail. That's okay. We're still going to gain some experience points. We did lose a willpower. We gained a hunger, but we did gain some experience points. And now it moves on to the next player's turn because we kind of got stopped there. So you do have your 3 action points, but depending on what happens, your turn may be stopped for you. Now, just to walk you through the app a little bit more, you do have different pages where you're able to see different things. So for example, the NPCs are listed here. Here are the allies that players are able to use. This is the stats. And then you have your reputation. So you can see that we are gaining in the Mancini reputation, and then you're also able to see the different personal things if you want to look at your personal objectives. Now, looking down at the bottom here, this is where you have your experience, your money, your hunger, as well as your willpower to reroll, and then your action points. So the general pace of play of the game is that the app is going to tell you exactly whose turn it is. You'll use your action points to hopefully do something that's meaningful crucial for that turn, and then after that it will move on to the day phase after everyone has had their turn. So you'll have that moment to recharge, use your havens for their different abilities, perhaps pay to upgrade them first before you use that ability, which can be very nice, but then you're going to go back into the night phase. Now, this being in the Teburu system, you are also able to save it, so you can save where you are, pick up later, but overall this is going to be a chronicle that is around 15 hours of gameplay, so there's a whole lot for you to discover, and you're going to be able to really upgrade everything by the end of the game, feeling stronger and stronger, and you're also going to be encountering even more allies, NPCs, and more than that, you're going to have different enemies knocking down your door. Now, one final thing to note about the Teburu system, which is underneath this board here, is that you are able to use it for multiple games. So if you are interested in backing this and you get the system, you are able to use it for other things if you enjoy it, such as Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising, but also other games as well, such as the Bad Karmas. So just know that this system itself you only need to ever get once, and then after that you can get any games that you're able to play with it. Now, I do think that the system works pretty well, and I think the app integration makes the game very, very smooth, that you're able to have it basically play things through for you, where you don't have to be worrying about keeping track of a lot of things such as stats, and the game just kind of runs for you. So if you do have any questions about the Teburu system itself and whether or not it may or may not be worth it for you, feel free to ask any questions in the comments below, because I know this may be something new that you're unfamiliar with, and I'm happy to let you know more about it. Now, you've heard me mention Vampire the Masquerade Milan Uprising, and you don't need to have played that to play this game. This is a standalone expansion, so it is in the same world, but they aren't sequential and the stories aren't exactly tied to each other, so you can play one before playing the other, and you don't need it at all to be able to play this game. But it is all based on the RPG, Vampire the Masquerade, so it does have that strong lore, and the themes are all the same, where things are quite dark and scary, and you're trying to do the best you can to survive and be able to support the factions that you want, because if you're not, you're going to be taken out by those vampire hunters pretty quickly. Now, as I said, this is semi-cooperative, so you're going to have that sense of building up your havens, getting stronger and stronger, getting as much experience points as possible to make yourself better and better with your different stats, but at the end of the day, you are going to have one player that comes out on top. Now, the semi-cooperative part is going to be the factions that you're supporting, because you want to be supporting those two different factions, because that's what's going to keep the vampire hunters away, but that being said, you are going to keep an eye on everyone else, because you don't want to see them getting too much stronger than you. This has been a preview of Vampire the Masquerade Palermo Conspiracies. As I said, you can check out the GameFound link down below for everything that they have planned. I've been Professor Meg. Thank you all for watching the Board Game Code channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!